Damn it, Hasbro. What is this? My name is Craig. Welcome back to You Got Nerfed, and this is a video review over the Nerf Alpha Strike Flyte, a flywheel-powered magazine-fed blaster in the Nerf Alpha Strike series. Supposed to be like the Alpha Strike's version of the Strife, but fails miserably at it. Let's get into the review. So getting to a blaster overview, starting up at the front, there is an end strike barrel lug. However, with this one, most barrel attachments may not fully click on and secure onto the front of your blaster due to there not being the end strike attachment tooth on the barrel lug with it. But it can fit on there, but it won't fully secure on there, so be careful which attachment you put on there. But there is an end strike barrel lug if you want one on there. Getting up front, there is a sling mount right here, still pretty tiny and pretty useless with that one. Getting up top is an end strike tactical rail, the only tactical rail on here, but nice that they have it on there. Getting to here is the access door to clear out any jams or malfunctions. I have seen this access door break on many other people's reviews, so be careful at this. This is not good quality plastic. This is pretty darn cheap plastic with this one. That is the whole thing with the Alpha Strike series. It's supposed to be a budget series blaster, or it's supposed to be a budget series where each blaster is a lower cost, but they also sacrifice quality for that, for you to be able to afford it. Weird marketing strategy that didn't work out too well. Getting around back to the back is the stock. This stock is pretty tiny. I guess that it kind of works with this one, but this doesn't feel comfortable at all to me to really just brace up. At this point, I'd rather just be hip firing with this one. So the stock is whatever. I don't really have too much complaints about that one. I think that it's a pretty bad stock. Getting to the grip is all right, somewhat comfortable, well proportioned with it. The grip is okay. The rev trigger down here works fairly well, and you can bypass the internal locks that are in here, meaning that if you press it down when there's no magazine in here, the flywheels can run. Yes, and the advantage of that is so that way you can basically pre-rev as you're loading in a magazine, so the flywheels are already at maximum RPM, and then that's a good advantage. So that way you'll get maximum velocity every time that you shoot if you just pre-rev like that. But rev trigger still is made of cheap plastic and is questionable in its integrity. I'd say that's still a pretty terrible rev trigger, but it's simple to use. If you've ever used the Strife, it's like that rev trigger, just of cheaper design, and cheaper as in bad design. Getting to the trigger pull is all right and pretty standard for most Nerf Elite blasters on the market right now. Getting to the magazine release, is inside of the trigger guard. I never agree with doing anything besides the trigger in the trigger guard with that one. And this one is inside there and is very small. I hate this thing so much, but you could do that and you could pull out the magazine simply just like that. It's very hard, and even extending your middle finger, you really have to press down on it to pull out the magazine. That's a terrible magazine release, and in a terrible location. Hasbro, what are you doing? Yes, so far we're in the fire control group here. We're not looking so good. Speaking of that, getting that to the magazine, well, this is an absolutely terrible magazine well. The fitting in there is not smooth at all. The trick that I find to get it in there, because if you start putting in the magazine in there, it's going in that far. This is the included mag with it. It goes in that far. You have to press in the magazine release and then get it in there, but it still doesn't seat all the way in there. You have to whack it in there to seat the magazine in there, which over time will damage both the blaster and the magazine over time. Now, you can leave it in quarters like that, and it can feed fine. I have had it feed fine with it not being seated all the way, but prepare for all of your magazines to be like that. That is a horrible design, Hasbro. I'm beyond frustrated with you for doing that. It is cross-compatible with other Nerf brand magazines with it, but because of that issue that you have to whack in the magazines if you really want it fitting in there, I would not recommend using it with anything other than the Flyte mag. Now, the Flyte mag itself is a 10-round magazine. Also, pulling this out is a pain in the butt too. Flyte magazine is a 10-round magazine, basically mimicking the Nerf magazines. This can go in other Nerf blasters. Actually, it fits in there fairly well into other things like a Strife and stuff. I tried this in my Strife. It fits in there well, but it's of cheaper plastic and stuff. I would not trust this magazine to save my life at all. But it does come with a black 10-round magazine with it, but it is cross-compatible with other magazines in there. But a horrible magazine design. Yikes. Yes, Hasbro, that's probably the worst thing that you've done in quite a while. There's a list of bad things that you've done in quite a while, Hasbro, when it comes to Nerf. That is one of them. Yes, getting to the battery tray. Oh, this is where it gets really good. To open this up, you have to press this little button here and then wedge this down and then open it. It is a plastic battery tray like that. The only positives to this is that you don't have to go fishing for a screwdriver to get that unlocked. The bad news is that it's made of cheap plastic. This will wear down over time. It's already a little bit complicated to open and that stuff. I would not trust this with my life. In fact, I'm probably going to use this for the review. I've already used it through my testing procedure, and I'll do it for the firing demo, and then I'm taking out the batteries and never using this battery tray ever again. Yes, this is a terrible design as well. The saving grace of this blaster Hasbro is if you made a normal if you made a normal battery tray, I would have given you a little bit more credit, but this just sends me over the edge. Sorry. Dang. Between this design and the magazine, well, this blaster is not even worth getting at this point with this one, and we haven't even gotten into a firing demo or anything like that. I can tell from just these two mechanics on this blaster, don't get it. Yes, but it does run on 4 AA batteries. You put them in simply like that, and then you can close it and rework it, closing it just like that, right? But that's all that I have to go over with the blaster, plus the other sling mount on here. Why are you slinging it here and here? Doesn't make sense, but this blaster doesn't make sense at all either. That's the overview of the Flyte. Let's see it out on the range. Just to the complicated nature of having to put in the magazine, I am not going to pre-rev the blaster. I'm just going to rev it up as much as I can and then fire. So, included magazine with Nerf Elite darts. $12-round mag with X-shot darts. So, firing analysis and conclusion of the Alpha Strike Flyte. Almost forgot the name of the blaster. It fired fairly well, actually. I did not experience any jams or malfunctions, which was surprising. I also feel like I need to mention, because I forgot to do this in the overview, it is semi-automatic, not full auto. That seems like an important thing, but if you watch through the firing demo, I think that seemed pretty obvious to you guys. Firing velocity is about 73 feet per second on average using this blaster, which is actually a little bit above the standard par that we can expect from most Nerf blasters on the market. It shoots pretty much at the same velocity as Strife does, which is pretty good, except for the performance doesn't cancel out everything that is bad about this blaster. So physically, it works fine. The magazines feed all right, even though that it technically doesn't go in all the way, and it fires well with decent performance. But here's the complaints about this. The end strike attachment point isn't stable. It really isn't going to hold any of your attachments on that one, so you kind of wasted a feature. The battery tray, I don't think I want to mention this anymore. This is just a bad design to general width, and it's just annoying as a hassle, even if you want to put in batteries temporarily to fire this. And I went through a couple times just to make sure that I have down the motion to get open the battery tray, and that was quite annoying. The magazine well and stuff is absolutely horrible. This is why I only fired 2 mags during my, very quickly, might I add, through my firing demo, because I fired this so many times before this, and I was already frustrated with the blaster, so I wasn't doing more than what I felt like I needed to show on camera with that one. So this is a terrible mag well designed. Just everything about this seems like a knockoff Strife. So basically, my opinion on this blaster is actually pretty negative. And yes, I'm putting aside the performance. Somebody's going to be like, oh, but the performance is really good. It doesn't matter when everything else about the blaster is absolutely a design flaw. Yet, actually not really a design flaw, an engineering flaw. It was flawed from how you engineered this battery tray and the magwell. This is a horrible magwell with this. I think the only other magwell that I really complained this much about was the original Alpha Trooper, and this is like 15 times worse than that. This is by far the worst magwell I've ever felt. So before I complain too much about the magwell, yeah. So making it's compatible with all your Nerf mags, but it just doesn't look like that it feeds all the way, because the lip that is supposed to bump into this piece in here is all the way down here, but it's all the way in there technically, and it feeds just fine. So I don't understand this blaster at all, and plus the stock as well is just not that great. Everything about this blaster is screaming cheap. They cut corners a lot with the entire Alpha Strike series with that. I wouldn't recommend getting anything in the Alpha Strike series, and this is a prime example of it. This was about to be one of the best, if not the best, out of that whole series, because it's a bunch of springers in that series. But this was an overcrap. This was a crap blaster to begin with. So my recommendations for this, just go get a Strife. It's semi-auto. With this, I would even say go get the Fortnite SMG over this thing as well. At least that thing has a working magwell with it. That thing, yes, I said a Fortnite blaster is better than the freaking Alpha Strike Flyte. It's not better than the Strife. Strife is probably the best thing that you can get for magazine-fed semi-automatic. But yeah, so pretty negative review on this one, because Hasbro dropped the ball. Hasbro, what were you thinking with this? Honestly, this cost me $20 at Dollar General, and it was a waste of money with that. I've heard so many other people say that they paid way more than that. I'm not going to comment really on that. That's just what I found in my location. I thought that I mentioned it. It doesn't matter the cost, because it's a waste of money. Even if this was like $4. If this was $4, it'd still be a waste of money. It's absolute garbage. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.